Hey guys, it's Kat and I am back today to film getting ready but also a Q&A. So it's like, I don't know, I think the last couple of years just by coincidence I started the year with a Q&A and now it's sort of become a thing where I do a Q&A once a year and it's the time of year. But what I'm going to be putting on my face, I actually ordered in Boxing Day sales a couple of things. One is a NARS palette. This is the Climax palette. So many people recommended it to me and saying it's a great palette. That's a sneak peek of the color story. It's a bit grungy, it's a bit cool tone, there's a bit of greeniness to it. I generally love NARS quality. I didn't like their last holiday palette, but generally I love their quality, and I bought a couple of mini palettes, well, a couple of palettes in Boxing Day sales. One I've been using the last few days and I love it. This was a holiday collection. This is the mini palette. It's so cute. It's in the shade Laguna and I've been using this a lot over the last couple of weeks since getting it, but I've held off using this palette to use it on camera, and so many people have recommended it to me. When I said I bought it in the sales, so many people were like, you're gonna love it, it's my favorite like green tone palette, cool tone palette. This was a limited edition release and the only reason I didn't buy it when it was released is because I was doing a no buy at the time, but it was on my radar. I did want it and I managed to pick it up 50% off. It just took me a year to buy it. So I'm going to be using this today, and I also bought 50% off everything at Mecca. Boxing Day sales was 50% off. This is a cream blush. It's the Air Matte Blush in Torch. So this is more of an orangey, sort of corally color. Haven't used it, haven't swatched it. I did also have a Laura Mercier lipstick, but I can't for the life of me find it. I did have it in my handbag. I wore it on New Year's. I don't know where it is. So I'm going to use one of these two lipsticks. I've got Yash and Down to an Art from MAC. I actually picked these up fairly recently as back to MAC products. Yeah, so I'm going to use one of these. So these are sort of new makeup that I'm trying and playing with, and also answering some interesting questions. Some people have interesting questions. We're going to cover beauty news, we're going to cover baby, we're going to talk about general channel stuff, makeup stuff. Yeah, we're going to go through all the burning questions. So I already have my base on. I'm just trying to find what Project Pan base to focus on this year. So I'm sort of combining a few and trying to make things work, like foundations I don't really like, seeing if I can make them work or if I have to declutter them. So this is a bit of a mixture going on, but I've done my brows, done my base, got a bit of lip balm on, but I'm going to do the rest on camera. Okay, one question that's come up a lot, this is on Instagram. So I did a shout out on Instagram. I also posted it on my YouTube community. So if you don't follow Instagram, you can sort of comment there. One question that popped up a bit was what lipstick was I wearing in the photo that I posted? That was Black Moon Cosmetics Sinister Satin in Trick or Treat, because that makeup was, that photo was taken when I filmed my yearly sort of favorites. So that's what I was wearing, and all the makeup that I was wearing were yearly favorites, but that was the lipstick that people were wanting to know about. But a big question that keeps coming up, so here we go. Brooke05, what happened to Beauty News? That MUA girl, will Beauty News be back? Nashi, do you miss doing Beauty News? Bet's beads around, practice witchcraft? No, I don't practice witchcraft. Will you and Hailey consider doing a one-time chat after she moves? Are you and Hailey ever getting the band back together, or have you both moved on respectively? More Simon and Kat old times, hashtag binning. Lauren in Australia, I love you. I saw Simon last night and I saw him on Monday. The band gets back together, we just don't film. Are you still friends with Hailey? What happened to Beauty News? Like Beauty News, Hailey comes up a lot. There was a question on YouTube as well. So I've got my phone for Instagram, but I've also got my laptop for YouTube. Lioness Lux said, you stopped with Beauty News. So after your babies, will you get a normal job again and keep solo YouTube as a hobby? So I'm going to maybe I'll start with cheeks. No, I'll start with eyes. Bugger, I'll start with eyes and I'll talk about Beauty News, Hailey, all that kind of stuff. It was also very fitting because this feels very Beauty News. My baby's sleeping in my bedroom, so I've got a ring light set up, I've got my laptop, I've got the camera, I've got the fake Beauty News plant that we used to have in the background, so it feels very Beauty News right now. Like all this stuff, we used to use so many lights and multiple cameras and all this kind of stuff going on. Laptops out, so we're researching. I just feel like Beauty News, it was so much stuff all the time. I found it really like hectic. It was hectic. I feel very old school YouTuber with the ring light sort of in my eyes, but yeah, it's an overcast day and I don't have much natural light, so it is what it is. All right, eyeshadow primer, Project Pan, Urban Decay. So, oh, look at my foundation creasing on my eyes. That's very pleasant. Yeah, so a lot of people, I don't know if they watched the last couple of videos on the Beauty News channel when we talked about taking a break and why we're taking a break and that kind of stuff, because some people are like, what happened to Beauty News, where'd it go? And it's like, well, we did talk about it leading up to the break. Essentially, there's a couple of things that led up to it. The main thing was that we got really sick of creating the content. We loved filming together. I love Hayley. We're still friends. We caught up last night for dinner. We had gnocchi and she came over to see the kids. And yeah, so Hayley and I still friends. We don't see each other obviously as much because we're not filming together multiple times a week. At the peak of Beauty News, we were filming together. I think it was 2 to 3 times a week. So we saw each other all the time. And we're talking all the time because we were just talking while we were editing, we were talking while we were researching, talking about ideas to do, talking about accounting, talking about emails that came through. We would talk all the time. So obviously now that we're not working together, we're not seeing each other as often, we're not talking as often, but we're still very good friends. What do I want to go in with? I'm going to start with the light shade here and then go into the deeper shade just in the crease. So that's what I'm doing with this Esom brush. I quite like this Esom brush. The G34. Yeah, so essentially what happened was we were getting quite sick of the format of Beauty News. We liked filming together, but the content was getting really boring for us and quite stale. And we just couldn't really pivot. Like, we did try a lot to create new content before the pandemic. There's one stray hair. This brush does shed, but it is a nice shaped brush, so you know, gotta take the good with the bad. Take the good with the bad. Yeah, so we did try to pivot. We did try to create more content, but we just couldn't. And then the sort of nail in the coffin was the pandemic, because we couldn't film together, so we couldn't do the makeup breakup together. We couldn't really do some hands-on stuff. It was all sort of via Zoom. So we just sort of pared it down to just Beauty News. And the problem was that we were both getting quite sick of talking about new releases. They were getting very, very redundant, going back into that deeper color. Very, very, very redundant. And also, I think the problem was I was okay with talking about it every week. I was like, yeah, am I passionate about talking about new releases? Not so much. I've been doing it for 6 years and I do get quite bored of the same content. But at the same time, I didn't mind doing it. I still enjoyed looking at new releases, but Hayley was getting really fed up with it, which I understood. So Hayley was sort of getting burnt out and over it and wanting to move on, but we were sort of stuck not knowing what to do and not knowing, should we continue in a different way? Should we do something else? Blah, blah, blah. We just didn't really know. Pandemic made it hard. We sort of just kept going and doing the same old because that was, let's say, safe. It was reliable. But after the pandemic sort of, well, it's still going, but after all the lockdowns and stuff lifted, we just were like, well, we want to break from this because we're not passionate about talking about it. Hayley was getting increasingly negative about it, and I don't blame her, but her getting negative made me enjoy it less, if that makes sense. I like the content. I love filming with Hayley. I love Hayley. I'm going in with this sort of taupey shimmery shade. These are applying really nice, by the way. And this is a Models Prefer cream shadow brush. So yeah, we pretty much just wanted to, this is gorgeous. We wanted to take a break because we wanted to do other things and just like see if pulling back will make us miss the content. Unfortunately, it didn't. The more we sort of tuned out of new release stuff, the more we're like, I don't miss over analyzing and talking about new release makeup. So we just haven't gone back to it, if that makes sense. It's still sort of in hiatus. I'm going to go in the color below, which is more of a satin. We can come back to it if we want to, but I think if we came back to Beauty News, it would be different content. I think we would be talking about completely different stuff or a different format, or some one-off sort of random videos. But the problem is that I've just had a second baby, so I find that really hard to do. But also Hayley is moving to Perth next week. So it makes it very hard to consider getting the band back together when the band is very far apart. And for reference, I'm in Melbourne, Hayley's in Perth. It's about a 4-hour flight. So it's a big distance away. So we're open to working together again in the future because we get along really well. We love working together. Just going back in with some of that light shade just to blend it out. We love working together. I love Hayley and we work together really well. But at the moment, no, we've got no plans for Beauty News to come back. And if Beauty News did come back, it wouldn't be the videos Beauty News. It'd be Hayley and me coming back together to create content, but it'd be different content because we've moved on from Beauty News. So that's where Beauty News is at. I still want to do content with her. I love Hayley. I love filming with Hayley. We always, you know, get along really well. I want to use some of the greens as well. I might actually go in with a little bit of this green and a little bit of that green just to green it up. And is this bright enough? It looks creepy on my eyes. Ring lights, you're creepy. So yeah, moral to the story is Beauty News is not coming back, but Kat and Hayley might be coming back in the future. If we did come back, it'd be more of a hobby as well. We wouldn't probably try to make it sort of like a job that we had before, because I just found that really stressful and overwhelming, and I just feel like the world of YouTube constantly is really, I just find it really stressful. So it was a bit too much. I'm not built for really big comment section and really, I don't know, I just found it stressful. So I don't want to go back to that personally. Just going back with that first shimmer just as a bit of a highlight here. And about the question of like, what am I going to do next? Like, am I going to get a normal job? Look, I have a baby, so I'm not looking at getting a normal job for a little while. My baby's only 2 months old. But I'm just going to use my Hindash eyeliner just to put some eyeliner on. Yeah, I've been working for myself for, 6 years, on give or take. I'm going to find it really hard to go back to working under someone else and being really rigid with when I can work. Especially having 2 kids now, you do have to be quite flexible. So I want to work. I definitely want to work. But I think what I'm going to do over the next year is figure out what I can do, like what I can do on my own. I don't think it will be YouTube, because YouTube for me is just a hobby and it doesn't pay the bills by any means. And I don't want, look, I don't want to turn something that I find enjoyable as a hobby into something that I'm sort of stressed about, and I need to create content and I need to make money and I need to do this, because that's when you kind of lose the enjoyment of it. My God, what have I done with this eyeliner? My God, can you see my sweat mustache? I need to turn the aircon on. It is hot today. Muggy, overcast, hot. So my plan is pretty much look after my kids and, do YouTube as a hobby, just to sort of give me something outside of kids to do. And then I'm probably going to look at doing something on my own, whether it's starting my own business or starting an online sort of store or something. I like, when I have any time, which I haven't had for a long time, I like doing pottery. So, I might do some ceramic stuff, I don't know. But I don't think I'm just going to go down and get a conventional job where I'm working, 40 hours a week and just jump back into the daily grind, because I don't think that suits my family at the moment. I actually had a few sort of random or general YouTube questions, which I think probably follow on from that. So the Eyeshadow Insta said, what do you still love about YouTube? M-I-Land, said, I know you have less time for it and that's okay, but is the passion for YouTube still there? And Lioness Lux said on YouTube, do you still receive PR and are you invited for launches? Am I wrong, or did you use more colourful makeup back in the day? Is it just a neutral period because of your toddlers? And I'm going to say, look, YouTube, I still really enjoy doing YouTube. I don't put any pressure on myself to I feel like when you put pressure on yourself to like make it on YouTube or grow or get certain amount of likes or comments or whatever, it becomes really stressful and I dislike it. So I like this as more of a creative outlet, more of a like, it's like people do journaling. I do like video journaling about something that I'm interested in, which is makeup. I'm gonna use this mascara, by the way. It's by Rimmel. It's the Kind and Free mascara, so I'm gonna put that on. So yes, I still enjoy YouTube. I'm not passionate about like becoming a YouTuber or making it grow, but do I still enjoy creating content? Yes. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing it. Simple as that. For me, it's sort of like a part of me that I haven't yet completely lost from having kids. You know, I'm sure people that have a kid or a couple kids will totally understand that it takes up your entire life, especially when they're young. So at the moment, I feel like I've sacrificed so much to raise my kids that this is sort of the one thing that I'm like, no, you give me an hour break when my kids are sufficiently looked after and let me sit down and do my sort of video journaling and playing with makeup, because that's something I enjoy doing. So is YouTube my passion? No, but I think the process of talking to you guys and sort of, I don't know, having some connection to the community, I really like that. I really appreciate that. I really enjoy that. And it also gives me a reason to put on a bit of makeup every day, especially project panning, have a play with new stuff, get excited about some new stuff, and, you know, just have a hobby. So for me, it is a hobby. And yeah, do I love YouTube? Not necessarily, but it's a nice medium for me to do my hobby. So that's what I like about it. Do I still receive PR? I do receive some. There's like 3 that come to mind. Kaleidos email me to see if I'm interested in launches. So I don't send things out unless I say yes. And I don't say yes unless I have time to look at the stuff or I'm interested in it. Glaminatrix Cosmetics, I love them. I'm so excited that I'm on their PR list because I love their makeup, and whenever I get a palette from them, I'm like super excited. Hindash send me stuff, and that's about it. I'm not on many PR lists, and the reason being is during the start of the pandemic, it was getting very overwhelming, especially having a baby. I didn't have time to sort of play with as much makeup and skincare and review it and take photos of it and all that kind of stuff. And with Beauty News, we're on quite a few PR lists, and we ended up just emailing everyone saying, can you take us off? So also PR over time changes. So some brands do internal PR like ColourPop. Other brands will have agencies, and you might be connected to an agency. They might drop a brand, someone might leave. They might then refresh their sort of PR list. You might get dropped off it. You might be picked up on it. So it's a really sort of messy thing. Unless you've got sort of management that can track it all, it's very hard to keep on top of it. So I just sort of let myself just drop off a lot of lists. I don't care. If I want something, I'll buy it. And do I go to launches? I've been to a couple. Again, I think especially in Melbourne during the pandemic, they just stopped everything. So the past couple of years there's been like no events. It's been picking up in the last 12 months, and I've been to maybe 2 or 3 or 4. It used to be a lot more, but again, I'm not on the lists anymore. I rarely get invited to things, and also I don't have the time. I've got to find someone to look after my kids. Of course, my partner can look after them, but with 2 of them going to bed at night, most events are at night. It's sort of hard to get a baby and a toddler down at the same time. So I need to make sure my mum's here. It's just like there's a lot more complication now, and I just don't really care as much. So I occasionally get invited. I occasionally receive PR, but I have really whittled it down to only things I care about and only things I actually want to review and play with. And I don't have time to just go to random events when I am not interested. So yeah, it's pulled back a lot. Yeah, times have changed, but I've also changed a lot. And when it comes to my makeup preferences, my neutral was definitely not because of my kids. If you looked back, I started preferring neutral eye makeup probably a good year before I was even pregnant. I just think it suits me a lot more. I like a bold lip. I should just zoom out because why am I so close? So yeah, I love a bold lip, and I think that suits me. But when it comes to a lot of color on my eyes, I just never felt like it was me. I like a bit of color here and there, like a colored liner or a bit of purple in the lower lash line or something. But in terms of just everyday makeup, I actually think eye suit neutralize a lot more. So that was just something that I came to the realization of well before having kids. My makeup has pared down since having kids, so I wouldn't wear this much eye makeup on a daily basis. Most of the time I skip eyeliner. So how much makeup I wear and the steps I use have really pared back since having a kid. But in terms of the color choices, that was just something I realized, especially when colored makeup was such a big thing. I sort of was trying a lot and a lot of releases were coming in. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try this, that's exciting. And then I just would not feel like myself. And the worst thing is when you wear makeup and you feel like you're wearing a mask, you're not actually reflecting yourself in your face, if that makes sense, your preferences, how you want to look. When I'd catch myself in the mirror, I'd be like, oh, what's that? It doesn't suit me. It just didn't feel like me. So that's why I changed sort of. I still like dabbling in some, but I'm definitely not a colorful eyeshadow person most days. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I want to go there and I'll have a play. But it's few and far between, that's for sure. Before I put on cheeks, the next big thing was definitely about kids. So we've got one, what made you change your mind about having children? Did you ever announce you were pregnant? How's the 1 to 2 baby transition? That's a big question, a few people asked that. Did you have a boy or a girl? What's their name? How's Sebastian bonding with them? Was it an easy decision to have another child? When did you feel ready? So there was quite a few baby comments. So back in October, I had baby number 2. No, I didn't announce it. I think I hinted at it a couple of times, but I didn't officially announce it. And my only reason, I didn't want to announce my first one either. It was just that with Beauty News, because we changed our filming setup and filmed at a table, we were sort of zoomed out a lot more and you could tell. I am quite a private person, but I also like to do things, I like to keep things sort of contained. If I want to ask for advice, I'm going to talk to my close friends and family. I'm going to talk to my doctor or whatever. I really hate unsolicited advice. And I know that people cop a lot of questions, a lot of comments. For me, it sort of feels invasive and feels rude. And so I didn't even, to be fair, I didn't announce number 2 or number 1, even on my personal social media. So when I announced the arrival on sort of Facebook, my personal Instagram, people were like, what? So people didn't, if I didn't see them and see them in person, I was like, if I haven't seen you for 9 months, do you really need to know my business? So I actually didn't announce it. It wasn't just to, viewers. It was to everyone. I didn't announce it at all. Yeah, and that was just, again, I prefer to keep it to myself. I prefer to keep those things a little bit more private. But some people might have got the hint, especially I think I posted something about Gaviscon, and like in both my pregnancies, I had bad acid reflux, like for the majority of the pregnancy. So that was sort of like a hint. Yeah, so baby number 2 is a boy. And I can introduce you to him. He's currently sleeping, but I'll grab him when he wakes up. His name is Finn, and he's beautiful. He's such a lovely baby. He is, I don't want to say the opposite of Sebastian, because Sebastian's a lovely kid as well. But, someone also asked about my birth story for number 2. I did do a baby Q&A, when Sebastian was, I think, about 3 months old. And, I've got to put makeup on, don't I? And pretty much the birth story is almost identical. They were both overdue. Sebastian was induced at 41 weeks and 3 days, so he came at 41 weeks and 4 days. Finn came at 41 weeks and 5 days, induced at 41 weeks and 4 days. Sebastian's labour was a lot longer, Finn's was a lot shorter. I didn't have any painkillers for Finn, which was a bad choice. So yeah, his labour was a lot faster, but there was still difficulty sort of getting out, big baby, blah, 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 blah. And there was still tearing, there was jaundice, there was breastfeeding issues. Everything I had with Sebastian, I had with Finn. But the difference was I sort of preempted them. So I got him onto bottle feeding faster. I flagged with the nurse that he was likely going to have jaundice. So instead of letting us go home after his jaundice levels were fine, I was like, can we test it again? And they tested again, I think the next day, and they had gone up, and so we had to stay another night. So all these sort of things I sort of preempted, so it was a lot easier. But pretty much the birth story is almost identical, except that it was 7 hours, not nearly 17 hours. So that's the main difference. Everything was the same. Have to say though, I got induced. It was that they didn't have a bed. This is quite dry. I haven't powdered my base, and this is sitting very dry. To be fair, this foundation might have set a bit, but this, why is this one shedding too? Why are my brushes shedding today? This moussey stuff it's not sitting super well. It's not blending super well. I probably did my base like an hour ago, so I think it's definitely something you're going to put straight on. But at this moment in time, this is probably going to be something that I'm going to pan in the future, because I think it's probably pannable, but also I don't love it. Oh my God, I don't love this Morphe brush, and it's shedding. Maybe it's going to just have to go. What's happening to Morphe? Closing his doors? What's happening? I've got like 3 loose brush hairs on my cheeks. All right, this brush is going in the bin. Bye, I just threw it on the floor. It's going in the bin. I think it's better with your finger. It looks a lot smoother. So maybe it could have been the brush. Maybe this blush just needs fingers. Looks a lot better with fingers. There we go. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I'll have to play with this a little bit more. This is not super impressed at the start, but we'll see how it goes. What was I talking about? I don't remember. Baby. Oh, that's right. So I was, they didn't have a bed available. I was going to be induced a little bit earlier, but they didn't have a bed available. By the time they had a bed available, it was like, they called me at like 10 o'clock at night, and they're like, we've got a bed available. Can you come in now? And I was like, oh my God, we're just about to go to bed. And so we got in about 10:30, and then I think they officially induced me like just before midnight. Going into labor overnight when you're about to go to bed, exhausting. It's shit. It's tiring. The original plan was having me come in at like 8 a.m. that morning, and they just didn't have a bed available. So anyway, it was tiring. It was shit. But yeah, so I recovered a lot better. I was in hospital for a lot longer because the jaundice, but also when I had Sebastian, we were in the first lockdown, so they were actually getting people out of the hospital a lot quicker. So I think recovery was a lot easier with Finn. Also, he is just more of a chill baby. Sebastian he was a high maintenance baby. Love him, beautiful baby, but really hard to get down to sleep. Would cat nap for 20 minutes. It took him until he was 1 year old to actually sleep more than one sleep cycle during the day. He was really clingy, would just cry and cry and cry. I think they call it purple crying now. And you'd just sort of like try to feed him, wouldn't take it. Try to burp him, nah, didn't need to do that. Try to change him, nah, still crying. Try to do this, try to do that, try to rock him. And then it would just be like, after half an hour of just crying, he would just stop, and he was exhausting. Finn is an absolute dream baby. He's already slept through the night like 3 times. He's super chill, really smiley. He started smiling when he was 3 days old. He was still in hospital. Day 3, started smiling. Super chill, really relaxed. So he's a much easier baby. So the transition from 1 to 2 has been okay because the baby has been super chill. And it's not because, I know people are going to say, it's because you're more chilled as a parent. No, he was more chilled in my tummy. When I was having the ultrasounds, Sebastian would be flipping around, and they're like, oh, he's very hard to measure because he's just moving so much. They couldn't wake Finn up. They're like, roll over, cough, go to the toilet, do this, do that, try to wake him up, can't wake up the baby. So I knew he was going to be more chilled. So very different babies. The hardest thing from going from 1 to 2, in my opinion, is the toddler factor. The toddler factor is extreme. The terrible 2s have gone up tenfold. He gets very jealous when I hold the baby, and he starts like acting out a lot. So I put the baby down, very clingy, no longer lets his dad give him a bath at night. Mummy has to give him a bath. Mummy has to read the books. Mummy has to do everything. So he's become very, very clingy and very naughty. He used to be very cheeky. Now he does things, he acts out, and he breaks things, and he does very naughty things to get my attention, and it's very tough. So the baby, I thought the baby was going to be the hard part. The baby is a dream. The baby is a dream baby. The toddler is sometimes a nightmare toddler, and that has been really tough. So the two we're managing, but yeah, I've become a lot more shouty and a lot more no, and a lot more it's been very hard. So so the transition has been tough, but the baby is an absolute dream. So he's still sleeping. So when he wakes up, I'll introduce you. But he is such a beautiful baby. Who's your favorite ex moderator starting with B? Lol, love yous. Beck, I love yous too. You're the best. You know you're the best. I love you. Beck's great. I love her. These are just random comments I'm going to pull out. Do you ever feel the need to follow makeup trends? No. No, I don't. I don't know if I ever did. Look, I've got to Yash or Down to an Art. I'm going to try Down to an Art because that was a spontaneous, just random. They didn't have many available for the Back to Mac. They didn't have many lipsticks in stock. So I was just like, that will do. So I'm going to try that one out. It's more of a rosy tone nude. Let's give it a go. Oh, wipe off my lip balm. What was the question? Makeup trends. No, I don't. Look, I think I might accidentally follow makeup trends just by being interested in current makeup, which I still am interested in. Oh, this is nice. It's like my lips, but better. It's a bit darker. I like this. All right, that one is Down to an Art. It's very pretty. So definitely like my lip tone, but just slightly darker and more perfected. So that's a matte finish from MAC. I like it. I think that's beautiful. All right, so far I love all the makeup except for the cheek. The cheek did come through, tapping it on, but with a brush, it just sort of lifted my base. And it could be my base. I've got to play cream, moussey sort of texture things. Maybe they're better with fingers, sure. But sometimes I take a bit of playing with to figure out what bases and what techniques work best. So I'm not saying it's a bad product. I just didn't, it looks nice. The outcome is nice. The tapping was nice. But the brush, again, could be the brush, could be the base. Who knows? We'll figure it out in time. Yeah, I might accidentally follow makeup trends by just buying makeup that is trendy. But in terms of techniques and on-trend sort of ways to do things, I don't really pay attention to them. To be fair, I don't have time to just browse through makeup content. I barely watch YouTube. I occasionally look at Instagram. It's usually my personal Instagram these days. And if I am on Instagram, it's usually replying to comments and stuff and replying to messages, and then I sort of bail. So I'm a bit in the dark, and I sort of know what suits me and works for me, and I just keep doing similar things but slightly tweaking things. If I see any cool techniques that I'm like, wow, I didn't know about that, I want to give it a shot and it works, I'll incorporate it into my makeup. But in terms of what's trendy, I don't care. I'm 36 years old. I think my life is not about following the trends or trying to be trying to have like a viral video where I'm showing you cool trends like that. I wish I had the time to do that. I just don't, and I don't really have much motivation to do it either. It just doesn't really bother me too much. Pan with Anna said, do you get bored of / with project panning? I'm gonna say no, because I've got into the routine of really liking having my makeup, my project pan makeup in a tub or a makeup bag and just using that every day. I like to play and explore and try new colors and try new things when I have time to play with makeup. But on a daily basis, I actually find condensing my collection down to a small full face of products that I can reliably use on a daily basis, and I know how they work and I know how easy they are to apply because I've been doing it for days and days and days in a row. I actually find that really helpful. So I like project panning. I also like using up the products and getting rid of them. It's sort of, I sort of like, to be fair, in a lot of areas, my collection isn't getting any smaller. But when it comes to foundations and powders and stuff, working through them and I start seeing the drawers getting emptier and emptier, and I'm like, cool, I can either organize this better, I can manage this better, or I can start trying new things, which I do really enjoy doing. I love reviewing makeup. I just don't want it to be so overwhelming with so much stuff that I don't enjoy it anymore. It can become really overwhelming when you get a lot of PR, if you buy a lot of stuff. So pulling it back and being able to try a new foundation once a year or something, I think is great. So that's, yeah, I don't get sick of it. I might get sick of a product and then I just sort of get rid of it or take it out and put something else in that I'm not sick of. But no, I do enjoy project panning. Lindsay asked, do you still follow makeup releases at all anymore? What's been the biggest change? Having kids / COVID / just lost interest in what was being released. How much do you focus on skincare now that you have 2 kids at home, 2 little ones at home? I follow makeup releases very casually. I used to seek out makeup releases and literally research things like hours a day. Now, because I had to, but now I sort of might come across a new release in store and go, oh, what's that? Or I follow some brands that I like on Instagram and I might go, oh, what's that palette? Or what's that new thing from blah. So it's more of a nice like, oh, what's that? Oh, nice discovery. Occasionally I'll see things pop up on like accounts like Trend Mood and go, oh, that's weird, what the hell? And I'm just like, I'm glad I don't pay attention to the latest Grinch collection because I don't care. So it's more, I'm interested in the brands that I like and what they're releasing, and I like sort of discovering it organically, not like seeking out all the information and getting to the bottom of what's in the ingredients and what's this and what's that. Researching it is exhausting and I don't miss doing that, but I do like knowing new stuff that comes out, like if it's something I might be interested in. So yeah, have I lost interest? Not necessarily, I just haven't been researching it as much as I once was, and it's not because of kids or COVID, it's literally because it's no longer my job to do that. And how much do I focus on skincare? Look, I'm going to say I pared down my skincare routine way before having kids. I learned that having too many steps really irritates my skin. So I am the kind of person that during the day, I'll wear a serum, I'll cleanse, wear a serum, and then an SPF, like a moisturizing SPF. At night, I will put on either like an acid toner, like a BHA or AHA, and then I will put on a serum or a moisturizer or both. So it's sort of only really, of course I'll cleanse, I'll double cleanse at night if I'm wearing makeup. So I really only have maybe maximum 3 steps in my routine, morning and night. And if I do have a few serums on the go, I'll like alternate them different days and different nights. So I might use a vitamin C one morning and then I might use a hyaluronic acid the next morning, or I might use a retinol one night and then an acid the other night. So I keep it sort of fairly minimal, but I still do my skincare routine morning and night. Kids have not changed that. And yeah, pairing back to sort of a minimal routine has just been something that I learned my skin responds better to. If I layer too many actives on, I get really bad redness. My skin starts to react. It gets quite sensitive. I get dermatitis on my eye, my eyelid. So I have just learned to pull it back. So that's just learning how my skin responds to things. Andrea said, how often do you declutter your makeup collection? So she just got rid of hers and the urge to splurge is strong. I feel you. As soon as I decluttered my lipstick collection, which I have not yet organized, I will do that hopefully soon. I was just like, what's the new lip products that I've been missing out on? I really want to try this by MAC and I really want to try this by NARS. And I really want to try this by blah, blah. So I feel you. When you do declutter, it does leave room for wanting to potentially buy more. And that's why I think you've got to declutter in a way, well, either declutter enough that you feel comfortable including a new item to play with, or not declutter so much that you feel like there's voids in your collection. I feel like that's always a risk as well, that you over declutter and you're like, I got rid of that blush and I shouldn't have, and now I've got to buy something that's similar. Whereas if you have quite a few blushes, you can sort of swatch and be like, well, that's kind of the same. What's the point of buying two? I did the big lip declutter it took me like 18 months to do. And in terms of other declutters, I declutter as I go. Sometimes I'll sit down and do a big declutter and I go, look, these drawers are just getting stressful and I haven't used them in a year. So what's the point of keeping these things? And I'll go through and I'll either put things in like a better position for me to use them. I might put them in my project pan, or I might just get rid of them. So I do that occasionally, every few months, I think, depending on when I'm motivated and what annoys me. But if I'm sitting at my desk, which I don't often do because that's like where I have all my makeup and I don't have time to sit at my desk and do my makeup on a daily basis. It's like once every fortnight. I will be playing with things and pulling things out and I'm like, this is getting old, throw it in the bin. This is getting, I don't like this anymore. What's the point? And so as I'm sort of pulling out makeup and playing with it, I sort of slowly declutter as I go. So I don't keep them to do declutter videos. I just organically get rid of them, and that sort of works for me. I feel like it's a little bit less pressure to how much have you decluttered? Why did you keep so much? Da 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 da. I'm just like, this isn't working. This is getting dry. This is whatever. And I just sort of get rid of it as I'm trying them. So yeah, every month I'll probably get rid of a couple of items just through using it and deciding I don't want to keep it. Audrey asked, if you were to start your collection from scratch now, what would you do differently? How have your tastes changed? Would you want as much variety as you have now? I'm going to say it would change. No, I wouldn't have as much variety. I would do things differently. I think essentially if I was to get rid of everything now and start again, I would just pick a couple of things that I really enjoy and then build on that. It would probably get out of hand eventually. In terms of most of my makeup, like I'm thinking foundations, eyeshadows, all that kind of stuff, mascaras, I tend to have a bit of a graveyard of things that, you know, I bought to hope to love and I don't love them for some reason, but I don't hate them enough to get rid of them. I know I'll eventually use them, though all those would be gone. There's no point of keeping things that you are just ho-hum about. So I would buy maybe 2 foundations, one lighter coverage, one sort of heavier coverage, probably have 1 concealer, 1 mascara. With eyeshadows, I would probably have a couple of travel palettes, a couple of singles, a couple of stick or cream eyeshadows, and then maybe like a couple of big palettes. I do like variety. I do like playing with them. So I wouldn't just have like 1 palette and that's done. That's not enough for me. In terms of color, there would be some color. But I don't wear color often enough to need as many colorful palettes as I currently have. But the ones I have, I like, they're good quality. And maybe I'll wear a bright orange or a neon red once a year. So I'm not going to get rid of it. But would I buy a palette for that once a year occasion? Probably not. I don't think I need it. So yeah, I would probably streamline it a lot more. And I would actually not be fussed to have 1 concealer, 1 mascara, 1 blush, 1 bronzer on the go at any one time. And then once I use it up, try a new one. Because I sort of use those products, same as powders. I tend to use the same products every day. And I like the idea of going, oh, I'm nearly finished this. I'll go and research a new one that I might replace it with. I like that idea. So yeah, I like a bit of variety. But my variety is mainly with lip products and eyeshadows. I would still have a big lipstick collection, I'm going to tell you. And if I lost my lipstick collection now, there'd be colors that are discontinued or that were limited edition that I would miss with all my heart and soul, because I love my lip collection. That's where I like to play. That's where I like to have for like 20 of the same reds, because for some reason that's what I need. The lip collection would still be extreme, but the base collection would be super minimal. So yeah, my collection wouldn't be small, but it'd be a lot smaller than it currently is. I definitely wouldn't need it to blow out to what it currently is. Ooh, top 5 eyeshadow formulas by brand. Ooh, that's an interesting one. People are gonna slay me. I really like NARS. I'm wearing NARS. I don't think all their eyeshadows are great, but I do like a lot of their more recent palettes. I think their really old formula was sort of crap, but the newer palettes, besides their Christmas recent palette, I really like it. I think they're really consistent. I think they're really flattering. I think they're easy to apply. This little palette that I got, which was an old holiday palette, it was actually from 2021 holiday. This one's gorgeous. I've been reaching for it a lot. Super easy to apply. Nice sort of twinkly highlight shade. Really easy to blend mattes. These sort of burgundy browns are really flattering. I think they work really nicely. So I really like NARS. Not number 1. This is just general 5. I also really, for more color and texture, I really like Glaminatrix Cosmetics. For multi-chromes, I really love Cleona. They have beautiful multi-chromes. I don't wear them often enough no way, no how, but I'm not going to get rid of them because they're extremely, extremely beautiful. What else do I have? For another basic sort of eyeshadow look, I really like Viseart. I think their limitation is I don't love any one palette, but I like the formula. I think it's really, really nice. For the fifth spot, I think it's hard. There's a few that I think are in, look at that, I really get along with well. Anastasia Beverly Hills, even though I decluttered a lot of the palettes last year, I do really like the formula. It's soft, it's easy to apply, it's really beautiful, it's really blendable. There's a bit of fallout, but I think it's really nice. It's not perfect, and again, similar to Viseart, there's no, well, the Sultry is probably my perfect palette, but that was an old limited edition palette. Yeah, I like Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm going to say it. I don't need everything that they have, but I think their quality is really nice. I also think Natasha Denona can be really nice. I don't think it's as often as good as the Hype, but some of her palettes are really beautiful and are worth the money, in my opinion. And another brand that fits into that category is, this is an interesting one, M Cosmetics. Their little like palettes with the triangles, that's beautiful quality. Again, that sort of fits in with the Viseart, NARS, bit Charlotte Tilbury-ish, where it's not super impactful, but just really, really flattering on the eye. The thing that they've got two more palettes that are more brown toned. I want them, the M Cosmetics ones, but something that shits me up the wall is they charge shipping, which is fine, but also they charge taxes and customs for international orders, even if customs wouldn't be charged. So why are they adding customs on top of the shipping charges? Like, it annoys me. So that sort of limited me buying from M Cosmetics, is because I just feel like I'm paying unnecessarily. But I really love, I've got one of their sort of little palettes. I'll put on the screen, I don't remember what it's called, but I think that's a really beautiful palette. I really enjoy it. So yeah, there's a lot of brands I really love, and yeah, none of them are like perfection. Like there's not one brand that stands out as being like the best eyeshadows in the world, but they do definitely offer different things. Like the Glamonatrix Nearly Natural palette, oh my god, I love it. If you like a glittery nude, that palette's amazing. Cleona Multichromes, something a bit more flattering on sort of like textured aging skin. I think NARS is really beautiful. Viseart's really beautiful. It's just, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there, in my opinion. All right, I've got little Bubby Finn here, but he's having a bottle. So I'll take one more question and then I'll show you Bubby Finn. Are you going to continue with the palette test and declutter series? I want to. I definitely want to. The problem with that was just not having enough time to test things. I'm really keen to do that throughout this year, but it wouldn't be like one a month. It will just be sort of sporadic. I do want to go through my Natasha Denona palettes and sort of declutter those, especially since they have the pans that you can take out so you can customize the palette. So if I don't want to keep a palette, I can, you know, just keep the shades that I want and easily customize my palette. So I'm keen to do that. There's a lot of palettes I want to go through. Melt I want to go through. I've got a few melt palettes, and I think I only want to keep like maybe one, I don't know. So I do want to do that. Problem with doing that though is that I was sort of having to sort of take photos of looks and think about what looks I want to create and all that kind of stuff. It takes time, and I don't have the time in the morning to do it. A lot of days I just am not wearing makeup. I think some people get the perception that I wear this amount of makeup every day. It is not the case. Currently my toddler is at the pool with my parents, and my partner is on holidays. He was looking after the baby while I was filming this. So I sort of need a team of people to be looking after my children in order for me to take a break to film. So yeah, because also my kid, if he was here, he'd just keep running in because he just likes to check on mummy. So it's very distracting. So do I have time to test out the palettes to the level that I'm comfortable decluttering them? Not at the moment, but I really want to whittle down my palette collection, and I really want to do that by testing most of it. I might go through, I see a box in front of me of just palettes that I was planning on getting through, like a big like moving box of stuff. I might go through and declutter things that I don't think I'll like and preemptively won't get around to bothering testing. But yeah, that series, I want it to come back. I really wanted to do more of it, but I just didn't have the time and ability to do it. I've also got to balance it with project panning, because if I want to pan any eyeshadow related thing, which at the moment I want to pan a couple of MAC eyeshadows, just because back to MAC's ending, I can't do it all. So when the MAC project pan ends, I might start rotating through eyeshadow palettes and giving it another go, because I really enjoyed doing that series. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's just really hard to put any makeup on some days, especially not sort of like put on eyeshadows, take photos, make notes, all that kind of stuff takes time. All right, one more, because Bubby Finn is still drinking. Could you please share your Botox journey? I'm turning 34 and thinking of it. I'm going to say I love Botox. I haven't had Botox since early December 2021, because we were trying for a baby. I didn't even answer before why I changed my mind about having kids, and I didn't talk about why I decided to have a second. I didn't change my mind about having kids. When I was younger, I was like, I'm 50-50 whether or not I want to have a kid or not. And then once you sort of creep up to like your 30s, you start going, oh, I've got to seriously think about it. And I sort of thought I would regret not having kids. So that's why we decided to have the first. So it wasn't change my mind. It was just come to a realization that, you know, it might not happen. Especially I had a few friends that were sort of struggling with falling pregnant, and I was like, oh, if I want to try to have a kid, I should start having one soon. So that was just a conscious choice that I made. I was never really prepared for giving up my entire life to kids. That was something I was always like, I'm not prepared for, but it's a choice that I'm choosing to make. The decision to have a second we decided that pretty quickly. I'm one of two, my partner is one of four, so we grew up with siblings, and we decided when my first was like a month old that we're like, he's gonna have to have a sibling. And ideally I sort of wanted them to be around 2 years apart. I didn't want them to be too far apart that they won't play together, but I also didn't want them to be so close that I've got two babies at the same time. And so they're 2.5 years apart. Hey Bubby Finn, you beautiful boy. So this is Bubby Finn. He's such a good boy. What's happening, Bubby Finn? Oh, so Sebastian calls him little Bubby Finn, because you were a little bubby. You're a big bubby now though, aren't you, sweetheart? Hey baby, yeah, you're such a sweetheart. You got some major eyebrows as well, but he's a little baby mummy. He's got my skin tone, which Sebastian is so much more tan than me, but you got your daddy's eyebrows, don't you? You've got some very serious eyebrows, and usually he's a very big smiler, but it's a bit weird with the light here, isn't it? What's his light doing? Hey, Bubby Finn. Hello. What's happening? Yeah, so this is my cheeky boy. He's 2.5 months now. He's already rolling onto his tummy and trying to crawl. It's too soon, matey. It's too soon. You're too keen to run away. Yeah, but he's super chill, lovely baby. So yeah, we decided to have a second because we sort of wanted to give Sebastian a sibling. And again, I'm 36, so we're sort of like, we can't leave it too long. So the decision was pretty easy to have a second. It was just a matter of when and where and how and what and all that kind of stuff. So that was that. But yeah, that's why we decided to have a second. Botox. I haven't had Botox for, yeah, over a year, because when you're trying for a baby, you shouldn't have Botox. When you're breastfeeding, you shouldn't have Botox. I unfortunately am not breastfeeding at the moment. I breastfed him, partly breastfed him for 2 months. And then my supply sort of disappeared. So I was always low supply. So he's at the moment just formula fed now. So I could get Botox and I'm keen. But also another thing, when you are pregnant, you get a boost in collagen. So you actually don't need to get Botox because you have sort of artificially inflated collagen. So that's why my forehead isn't as like wrinkly as it used to be. But I love Botox. If you've got a lot of lines around here or a lot of sort of like the washboard looking lines, I think it's such a good effect, and I think it's, I personally love it. So personally, I would keep doing Botox till the end of time, but I don't do it regularly. I don't like that really over Botox look. I don't like the sort of really filler, shiny look, but a little bit of Botox like once or twice a year, I think it makes a world of difference, and it's not something that you can mimic with a really good skincare routine, or you do need a good skincare routine for your skin texture and your skin health. But in terms of lines, like people like, just use your moisturizer. No, trust me, Botox is so much different and gives such a drastically different effect, and it can really boost your confidence. So if that's gonna help you and you can afford to do it, like I love it. So I started doing Botox when I was 30, but again, I do it very sporadically, like once a year kind of thing, and I wait until it's like almost completely worn off, and I try not to over Botox. Like some places will try to get you to do more and more and more. I sort of think less is more. You want it to last, so you want enough for it to last, but I don't like to over Botox because it can look a bit shit. Anyway, my battery's flashing and I'm gonna hang out with my little buddy here and have some lunch, aren't we? So we're gonna get going. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.